Welcome to The Aggregate, narrative coatings from around the globe. It's a show that salutes the close-knit community of architects, designers, builders, and artists from our world who refuse to ration their plaster passion. Amidst a world of click-and-stick emotions, the show celebrates the spoken word and forces us to listen, process, and grow. With an open and limber mind, these subtle connective moments will provide respite to recharge with an emphasis on shared techniques and knowledge, while simultaneously fueling our fires for continued creativity on and off the job site. So take a deep breath as New Age Artisans continues to coat the planet and change the paradigm of what it means to educate, empower, and create. Greetings, I'm your host Jeremy Mastretta, along with my man on the boards, Vincent Ryan, and welcome to the show. Hey team, welcome back to this week's episode of The Aggregate. We're at lucky number 13. Been a nice, beautiful week here, New Age Artisans. We're all done with hanging and taping of the space. And again, sacrilegious, I know, but we rolled some paint on the walls and electricians are in there surface mounting everything. And we had a nice walk around and we established some zones for lights and switches and areas where we need multiple circuits for our blenders. And pretty excited to get it up and running because we're maxed out where we are. Orders are flying in and we don't want to be blowing a circuit physically or metaphorically. So we're looking forward to it. Last week we had a fun time talking to our friend Rachel Ragg, also known as the Ginger Mason. We learned about the history of the Lincoln Cathedral, what it takes to carve each individual piece of stone. 5 weeks, people. Not 5 hours, like I thought. Hopefully everybody got a nice laugh at my expense on that one. I'm the first to admit that I don't know everything. And as my friend and mentor Heath England would say, I know what I don't know. And you know who I do know? Nice segue. This week's guest, Mr. Simon Gonzalez, Texas Cobb. What's up, Simon? How you living, buddy?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm doing great.
We are stoked to have you here. Little backstory for everybody. This is a fun full circle moment. We've had a few on the show, but this one's pretty cool. Not everybody knows, but I'm not originally from Montana. I moved here in the late 90s from Connecticut. And it wasn't long until my parents moved out here as well. They're about an hour away, just close enough for be comfortable for everybody. And as time elapsed and winters here started to take hold, my parents, after 17, 18, 19 years, decided it was time to move elsewhere. And they sought a drier climate and place that cherished life the way Southwest Montana did. And I was pretty blown away when they chose Texas, of all places. And the mere word Texas, to me, conjures big trucks, oil, George Bush, Halliburton, country music. And for anybody that knows me, I guess besides my Duramax diesels, which tow amazing, by the way, these other examples are not me and generally not a place I would support. But after I started diving a little bit deeper, I learned about Bastrop, Texas. And it's a nice little oasis outside of Austin that serves as an enclave for alternative Texan thought. And when my parents wanted a fireplace plastered, I was tasked into finding them an applicator. And thankfully, I found this guy, our guest right here. I'm going to be sending him down on plaster blends, and I'm stoked to see his craftsmanship at work. And secondary introduction, let's get into this. Simon, we spoke last week, and you're not actually technically in Bastrop right now while recording. You're on a little bit of a work vacation. Tell us what you got going on.
Well, I'm down here in Washington right now. Port Angeles. They call it the peninsula or part of the peninsula. So I guess like just across the pond is going to be Canada. Mm-hmm. And we're down here doing the Natural Plasterers Guild. It's kind of a retreat. I guess it's kind of like, it's a little bit private, I guess. It's not really open to the public. It's something that James Henderson does, and he invites basically 50 plasterer friends of his. I think he invited about 100 and 55 showed up.
Nice. Good
And
odds.
yeah, man, I'll tell you what, there is some really heavy cats down here. It's kind of like that big fish in a little pond kind of feel,
Mm-hmm.
where, like back home in Texas, I'm like the only guy.
Yeah.
And then I come down here and there's guys from all over the country, all over the world. There's people from Japan and England here.
Yeah. You got Rebecca there?
Yeah, Rebecca Gilling. Yeah, she's here. Becky.
Hello, Becky. Yeah. She's awesome. How many workshops are going on there at the same time?
Well, they're more like clinics or like kind of classes, really, and each one's only 30 minutes long, so there's a lot of presenters.
Mm-hmm.
There was a 2-day workshop at the beginning before the actual retreat started.
Yep.
And that was hosted by Kyle Holholtzer. I think I'm not butchering his name too badly.
Yeah. Kyle Holzhuter, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah. Holzhuter.
Yep. I butchered it on a podcast with Becky and she corrected me.
Yeah. So Kyle's one of those big fish. I mean, he's a shark. When he pushes his trowel around, it looks effortless. I mean, he's so slippy slidey and does this real finesse type, it's like a dance.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen videos where it's almost like it doesn't stand up on the blade and like a real sharp angle. It's almost like it's flat and it moves back. It's like, just gliding across the surface like he's, dancing.
Yeah. And the way he cuts in is like nothing I've ever seen before. Like he doesn't use really the blade in the corners. He kind of like slides the mud in somehow.
Mm-hmm.
It's really trippy.
Yeah. Yep. I've seen folks do that for sure. And they'll get up and it's almost like they'll compress it in and they know just exactly how much mud is behind their trowel and how much force they need to use. And it's just perfectly clicked right in.
Yeah. Amazing. So that's kind of what it's like, but it just repeats itself over and over again with all these really amazing artisans. And it's really crazy because everybody's coming from different vernaculars and you end up with a lot of different styles.
Mm-hmm. Who of all the people, I mean, you mentioned, you're just a little fish. Who are some of the other big fish that are there? People that you've just been like, oh, I just really want to meet this person.
Well, I haven't really met anybody. I'm kind of isolated over there in Central Texas from the natural building world. And, the rest of anybody who's plastering where I'm at is using sand and cement and pushing around plastic with their trowels.
Yep.
Or it's the drywall industry.
Yeah.
And, so like I'm like the only guy that I know that does what I do that actually uses minerals and earth to do 100% of his plaster.
Yeah.
So, I'm really in love with these traditional materials and not so much with modernism.
Yeah. Yeah. But as far as the, the guild, speaking of the guild, like who are some of the folks you met there at the guild?
Well, definitely James Henderson.
Yeah. Guy I have not met, but I've heard great things about, and I'd like to meet him someday for sure.
He's a wealth of wisdom.
Yeah.
Let me think. Actually, believe it or not, one of the most powerful impacts that I had here at the guild so far was not with a plasterer, actually. Another man named Kyle, and I'm so sorry, I forget his last name. But I know the name of his company, and that's what's important. It's Gold Hill Plaster.
Oh, yeah. He's tied in a little bit with James Henderson, right?
Yeah, I guess they're 70-30 on the Gold Hill Plaster line.
Yep. Clay plaster, correct?
Yeah, it's clay plaster.
Yep.
And they're making some fantastic materials. And one of the things that makes their material unique is that it actually builds. So you can apply it over over irregular substrates
Mm-hmm.
where, and he has the scratch and brown, and then he has a top coat. He calls it Zenith. And, so, rather than, I don't really want to mention any names, but one of the main clay plaster, vendors that we have here in the States that everybody uses,
Mm-hmm.
It looks really good when you use it as a veneer over, a perfect substrate, like, drywall with a class 5 finish or something like that.
Yep.
But if you tried to put it over, like a cinder block wall, for instance, you would see that telegraphing and you would have a hard time getting enough build, to make that go away.
Yeah.
There's just not enough fillers in it. So, their material has a lot of, well, not really fillers. That doesn't sound right, but, it's got aggregate and it's got
things to give it build. Yeah.
Fine fiber in there.
Yeah. It's kind of probably just encompasses scratch and brown coat, maybe in fewer passes.
Yeah, exactly. You could probably put his scratch and brown coat on easy at 3/8 of an inch thick in a single coat.
Mm-hmm.
And you could probably double back and, you could probably get off of a pretty ugly looking wall pretty quick.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, that even the veneer companies, they need companies that, you can build plaster on, because not everybody's got, as you mentioned, immaculate walls that you can just run veneers over the top of.
Yeah. Most of these veneer companies are selling a base coat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you put on your social media, which thanks for blowing me up, by the way. I'm seeing like a lot of like little awesome blue rectangles show up every time I open the app. So thanks for that.
Oh,
new
awesome,
follower.
yeah.
I'm like, oh, one of your followers, Uncle Mud. I don't know his name, his handle, but Uncle Mud is
Chris McClellan.
Chris McClellan.
Yeah, he's Uncle Mud. He's like a Cobb. He's a Cobb guy, but he is like the unofficial spokesman for the industry.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. The Ferris Bueller of plaster. I like it.
Yeah.
He was wondering, what are your favorite materials and plaster traditions that you're currently geeking out on?
I've been geeking out on Cochio Pesto.
Love it.
I spend about 2 days a week with R&D.
Yep.
And, sometimes that's making samples for clients that they've ordered or, there's, 100 shades of white and I got to narrow it down to 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. And I'm always trying to get my hands on materials. And, I've got this property that I inherited recently, and it's got a condemned building with a lot of soft brick. And, half the bricks are falling off on the ground. So it's like, what am I going to do with all these bricks? And I started grinding them up and basically turning it into as the aggregate for my plaster.
Yeah. And
I think there's a lot of potential for different things like that. And, definitely, being my own mix master and being able to make formulas and, being able to solve problems with plaster chemistry. It's one of those passions of mine.
Yeah. Yeah. So the brick dust is getting integrated into the lime and it's turning it slightly hydraulic, right?
Oh yeah. It's pozzolanic.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some big chunks of brick in this plaster also. I actually made a little sample board recently and I mimicked brick. So I basically did a veneer plaster about 1/4 of an inch thick. And then I scored it kind of with a sgraffito technique, just letting the plaster set up. And then I ruled it. And it looks just like brick. I don't know why I would ever want to make faux brick, but maybe to go overhead, where you need some lightweight areas over, and maybe not have the Bovita guys come in and do a groin ceiling for real. It's kind of Las Vegas, I guess, or Disneyland, but it's cool nonetheless.
Yeah.
That's the geek that Uncle Mud's talking about.
Well,
so yeah, my most recent one would be the Cochio Pesto.
Cochio Pesto, yeah. Well, when I was talking to you, was that that was last week, right before you were kind of gearing up to head to the Plasterers Guild. You mentioned that you're a third generation plasterer, which I think is really cool. I think that ticks a few timeline boxes. Tell us about your father and your grandfather. Where did they begin?
Well, I guess my grandpa hired somebody to plaster his house, back in maybe it must have been the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandpa was really cheap, and he never wanted to pay anybody what they deserved. And this guy, his name was Michael McLawson, and I only know I never met him. Obviously, I wasn't even born yet, but I know the story because it's been told to me 100 times. And I think it was in L.A. in the 60s. And this guy showed up and plastered my grandpa's house. And at the end of the job, my grandpa just threw the money at him. And that's when my dad decided to start plastering.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically hit that guy up and said, what do I got to do to apprentice with you? And he went and he labored with that guy all summer long. And at the end of the summer, Michael said to my dad that he had a lot of potential, and that if he really wanted to be a plasterer, that he should go and join the union. Okay. So my grandpa really wasn't into the business at this point.
Mm-hmm. My
dad served his apprenticeship and in Beverly Hills while the union was still amazing.
Yep.
I guess there's a plasterers union now. I didn't even know there was one, but mostly the union halls are just people's companies, and there's like a little affiliation there. But it doesn't seem like all the benefits or the support or the unity is really there like it used to be.
Yeah.
My dad went to trade school, and it was like going to college. He was there for several years, and I think there was at least one classroom day a week.
Mm-hmm.
And they trained him in everything. They trained him in, the moldings and the lime and the scratch and how to fix tools and, just all kinds of stuff. And, it's a shame that we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, we were talking, with, Paul Marlowe in Belfast, Ireland a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about his upbringing, when he was 16, 17, and it was amazing what that, those vocational schools did for him. And
yeah,
I was mentioning that there's a push back for that here, but it seems like the trades of yesteryear are kind of dwindling. So,
mm-hmm.
I'm hoping that we will have a resurgence again. Do you have any of your dad's old tools?
The tools don't really last very long around here. And, me and my dad, we have like a little bit of a co-op. He still plasters.
Yeah.
He's mostly retired. He got started, he was the first. But the thing is it spread through my entire family,
mm-hmm.
like grass fire.
Yeah.
So my grandpa eventually looked at what my dad was doing, and he's like, I want to learn that too. And then my dad had set up a whole bunch of accounts, and then he moved us all to Oregon to work on a whole bunch of big projects, and basically left all his clients to my grandfather,
mm-hmm.
who started a plastering contract, construction company there in Texas. And then I have two uncles and a brother, and they've all been plastering contractors, most of their lives too.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So we have a little co-op, and, we can kind of share and, trade and, do all that stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, Was it always plaster? I mean, obviously, clearly with your family, it's always been plaster. But for you and specifically growing up as a young kid, did you look at plaster like, hell yeah, I want to do that? Or did you just kind of fall into it because that was what was presented to you?
Well, I didn't really have a choice. I was homeschooled most of my youth, and a lot of that was me going to work with my dad.
Yeah.
Waking up at 5:30 in the morning. I initially thought I was going to be a musician. And I worked professionally as a musician off and on through the years.
Country or Western?
Both kinds, country and Western.
Country and Western.
Did I hear that you're not a big country music fan?
Well, that is like, I mean, I'll be totally honest. If you turn on Rascal Flatts, I'm going to leave the room. But if you turn on...
Who likes Rascal Flatts?
I don't know. They're not my friend. I promise you that. But if
they suck.
Yeah, they suck. But if you turn on like Willie...
Okay.
Hell yeah. If you turn on Merle, hell yeah. If you turn on even newer stuff, like... Shit, if you turn on Tyler Childers, I'm going to go turn it up.
Yeah, that's my jam.
Yeah. I like Chris Stapleton. I'm sad that the radio is playing him on every channel. I like Zach Bryan. I think he's amazing. But I guess I'm a little bit more like outlaw country.
Yeah, definitely. That's my style. I actually tell people that I don't like anything out of Nashville.
Yeah.
It's just all overproduced.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I was in Nashville last spring. My wife and I went there and did a marathon, and holy buckets. It was like Las Vegas with cowboy boots. I could not believe it, actually.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, besides guitar, what was your first guitar you played?
I'm a drummer, not a guitarist.
Oh, so, well, that solves that. You didn't play guitar. What was your first drum kit?
It was a really good one. My dad was a drummer too, and he raised me and my 5 sisters and my half brother, all how to play instruments from the age we could walk.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
So yeah, at 5 years old, I had like a professional drum set.
Nice.
And by the time we were 13, we were on Star Search and, traveling and touring, and it was like this
Star
oddity.
Search, the TV show?
Yeah, we actually never made it onto the show, but we were, in the, the auditions and stuff like that.
Wow, that is awesome. Did you tell them that you're a plasterer too on Star Search?
No.
You should have. You would have breezed right through, right to the big stage.
Mm-hmm.
What sorts of early plasters did you use in your youth?
Oh, so actually all the most horrible stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, some of my earliest memories were of plastering, but mostly it was all stucco for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
And even worse, EIFS, or EIFS, depending on, who you're talking to. But,
yeah.
It's that styrofoam cladding, and then they just put like a couple millimeters worth of thin set and plastic finish with some mesh, if you're lucky.
Yeah. Yep. What's that? God, what's it called?
Drive it?
Yeah, drive it. But there's a, God, I'm so upset that I don't know about it. It's basically just like thin set, and that's the bonding coat that goes over the top.
Their brand is called Primus.
Primus, yeah, but there's another one. Great band, by the way, Primus.
Oh yeah,
yeah. My name is Mud.
It's an adhesive base coat. Yeah. I mean, it's just some polymer mixed with Portland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. We're gonna turn off the phone and be like, it's called this. God, I'm so bummed. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But it just shows how much it's been a long time since I've messed with any EIFS.
I don't like it at all. I mean, and it's crazy is, I still occasionally do an EIFS finish plaster, like replaster.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always basically, I do about one a year, and it's for a current client that I've basically resold, but then they had like a previous client that, has one of these houses that they did with their old guy.
Yep.
And unless you want that old guy to come back, you better figure out how to make that house look right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's basically just an appropriate replaster for using the same materials that were applied originally and just, putting some new fresh coat of rouge on it.
Yeah. Well, no secret to anyone listening that you're not down with the synthetics, which is commendable for sure. Why, in your mind, why did you switch to the natural plasters?
Oh, well, it was kind of a really backwards long journey, and that's kind of a long-winded one, but I'll do the best to give you the short and sweet. So I had right after basically 10th grade, I dropped out of high school and got my GED.
Mm-hmm.
And I started my own plastering company, and I was doing stucco, 3/4 inch scratch and brown stucco, cement stucco with a synthetic finish.
Yep.
And, honestly, I really wasn't that passionate about it. I was just really good and at a young age, and I was making more money than anybody I knew. By the time I was 20, I had, 30 employees.
That sounds exhausting. I have 15 right now, and I'm 44.
Yeah. And, I was running jobs in like 5 counties. And in Texas, everything really is bigger.
Yeah.
So, 200-300 miles, a day, easy. And just, I could barely touch every single one of my job sites in a day if I was lucky.
Yeah.
And, I was making a fortune. The economy was really, really good. And then all of a sudden, pop, 2007, 2008, the recession.
Yep.
And nobody could get a bank loan. All the houses stopped. All the builders that I was working for, they all went, bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
They all owed me a bunch of money, and, I didn't get paid all of it. And, I was in a really bad spot, and, I got divorced and, we had a foreclosure. They came and picked up my truck.
Dude, this sounds like a country song. Just saying.
Yeah, I know. And she took my dog too.
Yeah, What happens? You get to play a country song backwards. You get your truck back. You get your dog back. You get your plaster back. Yeah.
My wife left me for an assistant pharmacist at Costco, and and I don't blame her. I was at the, I basically just picked up my stuff and I moved into my van.
Yeah.
And,
down by the river?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The phone didn't ring for a long time. And then one day it did. And somebody says, hey, I'm in Indiana and I have an air block house. And I can't find anybody who knows how to do lime plaster. And I was like, well, shoot, my dad taught me how to do lime plaster, and there's been a few of them through the years. And, I'd been using lime as basically just to fluff up and cut Portland for years. And so I was familiar with the material, and they said, oh, you don't even have to know the recipes. It's all in a bag. It's from the distributor. So I went in there, flew over there, and, I did that house, and they were tickled pink. And, the distributor called me and he says, hey, the crown over said you did a great job. And, we've got another one in Tennessee. And I said, well, shoot, I'm on the way. So I went around doing aircrete. It's a material called Hable. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
No. Is it still around?
Yeah, it's still around. They had a factory in Georgia for, during this time, and eventually they moved it to Mexico, and that kind of killed the industry a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID killed the rest of it. Just people had started houses and they couldn't get material to finish, and they were stopping them at the border, and they would sequester the loads for months and months at a time, and people were just like, nah, man, we're going to go with something a little bit more local. So then then I did a couple papercrete houses. And then somebody says, "Hey, can you do hempcrete? And can you plaster some Ram tires on my Earthship?" So I started getting this reputation of being this guy that does jobs that nobody else wanted to do. And then one day, I met this guy at a railroad dive bar, and I was telling him my story and what kind of work I do. And he says, "You're the guy I've been looking for. I want to build a cob house." And I was like, "No, dude, that's a dumb idea." And he's like, "Well, why?" And I was like, "Well, you need like 20 hippies, a 6-foot bong, a drum circle. You need like all the
patchouli in the world. Everyone's going to be like, we're blowing glass. We're weaving hemp." Yeah.
I really didn't know that much about it, but what I kind of knew was it was this hippy dippy thing that really, took a long time, and it was like a labor of love.
Yeah. Don't forget the hacky sack too, and the Frisbee.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I told him it was a dumb idea, and he's like, "Well, you start next week." And I was like, he's like, "What else are you going to do?" And I was like, "Well, I don't have a job right now. The Hable company shut down. They moved to Mexico. I'm waiting for Block." And, so I went and did it. And, there wasn't 20 hippies. There might have been a little bit of smoke blowing, but, it was me and him. I did all the cob, and he did basically everything else, putting in the doors and the plumbing and the electrical, and took care of the roofing. And he dug the pond where we quarried all the clay out of. And we built him a 20-foot tall, 1,200 square foot cob house with cathedral ceilings and a bridge going through it. And it took 13 months. And that was probably like the closest thing I had ever done to building an entire house by myself.
Yeah.
And I got a rush from it. And I started sharing pictures on Instagram, and my phone started ringing. And people are like, "I can't believe you built that by yourself." And I was like, "Well, I just did the cob by myself. John Casey White did everything else." And they were like, "Well, we want to hire you over here." So then I basically became a traveling for-hire cob contractor. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, I was doing natural building at that time. And then I'm not sure how much you know about cob wall systems, but you pretty much need a very breathable, permeable type of plaster that is not going to trap moisture behind it. So you don't put synthetic materials over a cob house, for instance, because the walls need to breathe.
Yeah. We've done some straw bale work here, and I can't tell you how many times people have coated right over the top with synthetic polymer based plasters, like right over the top of this beautiful wall system. And I'm like, now we have a problem, people.
Yeah, I've fixed countless structures that have been basically just suffocated to death with, incompatible materials. Mm-hmm. And it's really important that you're using, the right stuff for the right wall. And you got to know that there's no silver bullet. There isn't just like, one sword to rule them all.
Yeah.
And, being able to know what the appropriate materials are for the right time and the right place, and the right climate, and all those things, like you see adobe structures in, Pueblo or something like that, and they don't even have roofs on them. They're parapet roofs. They got all this horizontal surface up top, and they're basically just an earth and plaster. It's like dung and clay and sand. Mm-hmm. And it lasts for, 800 years.
Yeah.
But the materials are also infinitely repairable. So if it did receive some damage, the town people go down and they gather up some mud from the floodplain after the wet season, and they smear it back on the wall.
Yeah.
And that's not something that we have a lot anymore. These materials are designed to fail, and they often do. And I was looking at some timetables for building materials recently, and It shows you the life expectancy of every material that we would use in a house.
Yeah.
And, you have these houses that are incredibly sealed up. And then if water gets into them, there's no way for that to get out.
No, there's no egress. It's just stuck. And then it's a downward spiral of condensation and mold and deterioration without question. Let's take a quick break here. And I want to hear a little bit more on the second half about your current projects that you're on.
Yeah.
As you're likely well aware, our podcast series at Baby Brand is in its infancy. We promote these stories because there's a definite need to spread information about the sacred art form of plaster. It is no secret that as our world turns at its rapid pace, we are slowly losing techniques and methods. The information in this broadcast is an attempt at the preservation and conservation of sacred techniques and sage wisdom from the industry's finest. We offer financial compensation for all of our guests and are seeking advertising funds for operational costs. Do you have a product or service that is in line with our content? Do you want to advertise it to a wider audience? Give us a shout on our socials and we'll let you know how to get on board. And not to worry, we won't bother you with lots of show-stopping advertisements. We are so thrilled to share stories of designer disasters, contractor conundrums, or anything else that weaves its work through our plaster world. Do you have a plaster-related topic you'd like us to discuss? Or a guest you're dying to learn from? Send us a DM on Instagram at New Age Artisans or an email to hello@newageartisans.com. We can't wait to hear from you. Now back to the show.
Hey folks, welcome back. Thanks for listening to the commercial break. Last week I had a birthday. February 1st, I turned 44. And Simon, I think that you had a birthday in the past month or so, right?
It's been almost 2 months now. November 29th.
November 29th. Time's flying. Well, I got a new pair of boots for my birthday from my family. I was really excited about it. Nice pair of Schnee's snow boots here. What did you get for your birthday?
Well, it was kind of unexpected. It was a big surprise. But yeah, we had a son. Our first child was born on my birthday. And, shoot, man, it was obviously I knew he was coming, but his expected birth date was two weeks from when they said it was. He actually came late. And I kind of called it, but, I didn't, it's really magical, man. It's crazy. And, it was super magical. We had a home birth.
Mm-hmm.
My wife, Ariel, she did a natural birth in our living room with no medication. We had
that is so sporty. Jesus.
Yeah. We had a birth team.
Yeah. We had both of our kids in the hospital, and I can tell you that it is the most hardcore thing ever to witness that happening. I can't even imagine being at home without medication. So
there was a couple of moments where I think if they had medication, she would have let him shoot it in her.
Yeah, bartender, ding ding.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, yeah, it was definitely, I think, harder for her than what she thought.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been going on for thousands of years, and this medicine is a newer thing, and I don't think anybody's ever. Oh my God! I can just stick my foot in my mouth. I have no perspective. I've watched birth happen twice. I can't even imagine that thing going, like the feeling and the pulse of that going through my body. So I'm literally.
Oh yeah. Definitely. If guys had to give birth, the human race would end.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even survive a cold, let alone like actually having a baby. Like, there's just no way. Like, so I mean, kudos to all the women in the world Unbelievable.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Cheers.
hit us with the stats. Like how many pounds was the baby?
So his name is Ansel Ford Gonzalez. And we named him after Ansel Adams, the famous Western photographer.
Yep.
He was born 7 pounds, 15 ounces.
Mm-hmm.
So just under 8 pounds.
Yeah.
And I want to say 22 inches or something like that.
Yeah.
People see him with us over here at the Guild. I brought my whole family to the Plasters Guild, and they're like, "Nah, you've been lied to. That is not a 2-month-old." Because he's quadrupled in size already. He's not super fat. He's just a little chunky, but
yeah, chunk. The term chunker is a term of endearment for a baby, which is still blows my mind. But the other one that people say, they're like, "Oh, he's healthy." Like,
very healthy.
Yeah, you call my kid fat? Sounds like you're calling my kid fat. But
I'll tell you what, that breast milk is the perfect food.
Full of the colostrum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, you've been working on your jokes. You got any dad jokes yet?
Oh, I can't ever remember them, but I bust them out all the time.
Yeah. Well, my dog ate a bunch of Scrabble tile the other day, so I took it to the vet. No word yet. Just load them up.
That's pretty good.
You got to have them just like, they got to be like, snap, here's the joke. So you'll grow to get them. Just a whole Rolodex of them. How's it juggling the business? I was emailing with Ariel, and she's been very communicative and it's been amazing. But how are you guys adapting to business life and work life? It's not easy, not even close to easy. How's it going?
Well, we kind of like supercharged everything when we knew we were when the baby was coming, it really just, jump started my drive again, and I really hadn't lost drive, but, me and Ariel met a couple years ago, and we basically wanted to be hippies out in the woods, and we were living off grid for the longest time and really didn't have steady income. We were just it was the honeymoon period,
Mm-hmm.
And then the baby came and we split ways from the property that we were developing. We couldn't really come to a contractual agreement that was like good enough for either one of us to really want to put any more energy knowing that we have a son, so we're like, we need to like basically secure our son's future now. So we were like, okay, well, let's go back to being capitalists. And I started taking cob contracts again.
Yeah.
And then, I guess in the last few months, we've been able to we grew the company again. And now we have a full-time plaster crew and a full-time cob crew. Or the natural building crew, really. Because sometimes we do really crazy things still. Like, we worked on a geodesic Zome recently, and, then we, really whatever, I try to keep those guys in their 40 hours, which is really easy if you're building an entire house from the ground up. We're grading the driveways, we're digging the pond for the quarry, we're, doing the foundation, building the, a mass wall construction, putting the roof on it, pretty much everything. So these guys are going to be showing up to the same job site for at least 6 months.
Yep.
It takes a little longer to build one of these homes than it would a stick frame house. And, so my plastering contracts, they're just like stacking up. And I'm like, dude, we have to grow.
Yeah.
And, so right now I've got 8 guys working for me, pretty much 4 on the construction crew and then 4 on the plastering crew. And, for the most part, I'm only plastering natural buildings.
Yeah.
So it would nobody else builds cob really. There's a couple local cob contractors that are like, well, when I say local, I mean like Texas. A couple out of Austin, but Mostly they're doing really small little bungalow type things.
Mm-hmm.
And we're building 3-bedroom homes.
Yeah.
So I don't know anybody anywhere that, other than maybe like going across the pond or like, you know, some other countries. But in the United States, there's not a lot of people doing on the scale that we're doing, I think. So that's kind of where it's at. It's challenging. It's a lot. We're getting calls for, we're working on a CEB house right now.
What's that?
That's the plaster gig. So it's a 5,000 square feet exterior. And part of it is the stuff called CEB, which is an acronym for compressed earth block.
Okay.
So it's kind of like an adobe.
Yep.
But it's basically the earth is put into a press.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it can be stabilized with either lime or cement.
Yep.
And sometimes they go without a stabilization because the raw earth is more thermodynamic. So that's kind of hard to explain, but, the other half of the house is conventional, believe it or not. So like they did, some arches around the back patio. There's like 7 arches that are like 20 feet long.
Yep.
It's really grand. But it's all plywood with Tyvek, just like they would do a normal house. And then the garage is also built like that. And then there's a couple pop outs in like a gable thing in the front.
Yeah.
And the chimney. And these are all conventional.
Yeah.
And, he called me in because the representative of Ryan Runge, he owns this company called AECT, and they make the machines that compress the brick.
Yep.
He recommended me. He says, my boy Simon knows how to coat these buildings.
Yeah.
And, so the guy called me up and I went and looked at it, and then I looked at his back porch and I looked at the rest of his structure, and, I was like, what are you going to do out here? And he's like, oh, we'll probably have somebody put cement on it. And I was like, the hell you are. So he's like, well, what would you do? And I was like, no, we'll put metal lath on this and we'll, scratch and brown it with lime, and we'll make everything look monolithic. And, he's like, I didn't know you could do that. And I was like, well, my mixes you can, because I make, high performance exterior rated lime plasters that you can put on in an inch,
Mm-hmm.
an inch thick of plaster. It's a 3-coat system, but, that's actually one of the things I was teaching down here at the guild. And, a lot of the people down here, they're doing, lime veneers.
Mm-hmm.
Shikui, that's what, Kyle taught, is Japanese fermented seaweed, lime plaster. And then, you got a bunch of these guys that, are doing veneer work. And, I love their materials. I wish you'd send down some of your material maybe next year for the guild so that people could play with it, because, you'd probably get a lot of business.
Yeah.
These are the guys that are putting the material on the walls.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The beautiful part about us is that, we're making it primarily for our own use, and the notion that other people want to use it is great. I'm just of the school of thought that, those folks will just reach out when they really want to do it. We promote it, but we don't push it. It's not our primary source of income. But it is a good opportunity to get it in a lot of people's hands. So either I should come, or someone that works for me should come and do it, or we'll just send some material and let you guys kind of throw it all around.
That is so relatable. That's exactly kind of where I'm at. And, we've got our bagging facility, and we've got our, we're milling all sorts of products and trying to, standardize aggregates, and, lots and lots of sifting and processing of different materials. But it's a necessity for us in our region.
Mm-hmm.
And, because we need the materials for our use. And, then I've got, obviously a large plaster family. So we're able to basically have a co-op. And, then people reach out to me and they're like, hey, can I get some of that? And, Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like, we're not trying to be in business as distributors, really. We're just trying to have, standardized, regulated products that we can warranty.
Yeah.
Not some bathtub brew.
Yeah, not some bathtub brew. And the thing about it, I've talked about it before, is if it's not going to work for us, it's not going to work for anybody else. And again, I just preach the fact that like we are manufacturers, but first and foremost, we're plasterers, and we're educators. And our plaster might not necessarily be the best plaster for somebody. I talked to gal named Lauren Dillon, master of plaster, quite a bit. And if somebody wanted to, stack us right next to each other, a layman would say, you guys are competition. And I think if you ask me and you ask Lauren, I think that the answer would be no. And I think if you ask Simon, the answer would be no. We're not competitors. Mm-hmm. We're people that, believe in humanity and believe in natural, beautiful plasters on the wall. And we just want people to get what they need. There's no need to push this as a primary source of income, is my take on it.
There's definitely enough room in this world for all of us and more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And also we're more of a co-op. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just going to give my materials to anybody. They have to basically meet the certified, label, like I need to know that they know how to use this stuff.
Yeah. Same with us too. We make everybody go through a training process. And there are some people that just zing right through it. No big deal. Totally understand. And then there's some other people that require a little bit more handholding, but we're not going to service it with just some generic YouTube videos. We're going to service it with actual folks really talking to a real live person and really understanding these are the components of what goes into our plaster system.
Yeah. And, we're really not into shipping either. I mean, I could ship somebody some bags, but when you start looking at, doing a 5,000 square foot house with 3/4 of an inch worth of lime plaster on it, that's several pickup trucks. That's an 18-wheeler or something worth of material.
Yeah.
Inside, that's just the exterior. Like the one I'm doing now has 8,000 square feet on the inside. Mm-hmm. And,
yeah, your notion of
astronomical amount of material.
Yeah, astronomical amount of material, astronomical amount of weight, astronomical amount of fuel, astronomical amount of carbon footprint to take your green product and ship it from one part of the country to the other. And there's a lot of I struggle morally with that a lot on things labeled green, and they seem to be the antithesis of it a lot of the times. So I love to hear that you're not into shipping.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody really had, a small job, I could ship them a couple bags, and we do specialize in, one of our services is that people with, unconventional substrates can get a hold of us. Mm-hmm. And I will do a small batch of whatever it is required to coat that surface.
Yeah.
So, there's, like I said about the silver bullets, there isn't like a, one size fits all in plaster. And mm-hmm. sometimes situations require, special coatings and, a unique science and chemistry.
Sure.
Alchemy,
Yeah. Yeah. And just to be clear, just so everyone listening knows that I'm not a complete hypocrite. I do realize that I do ship material, and I do understand the carbon footprint that goes in, and we do try and soften that to the best of our ability. All of our bags are reusable, and the amount of bags that come back to us that we clean and wash and then turn around and fill back up with plaster, I realize that there's likely a carbon footprint with that as well. But we're trying to do the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle.
I love the fact that you guys reuse your bags.
yeah, it makes me feel really good. It's like the one thing I'm like, what can we do? What can we do? And this is effort. There's no question about it. It's effort on our part, but it's a win. It's a win for sure on it all. And what I like about it is each bag, what I want to do is kind of start sending these, have like a little bit of historical data on the back of the bag. Like this bag was touched by this person in Vermont. And then this bag went all the way over here to Washington. Mm-hmm. And then it went down to California. And then you get to see how many times the bag has been used. And then you can understand how many different landfills that bag could have made its way into.
Plaster passport stamps.
That's right. That's exactly what we want to do. Plaster passport stamps. Yep. So that's just another little passion project we'll get going on here when time allots next week. So yeah. We do quite a bit of teaching as well, and I know that you guys do some teaching too. Tell us about that program.
Well, we do teaching in a few different ways, and I've got all this different community outreach things that we've done. Mm-hmm. So we have a couple Facebook groups that I run and that I kind of founded. One of them's called Earth and Plaster, mm-hmm. and there's 14,000 people in that group right now. Wow. And there's people from all over the world sharing beautiful projects of natural plasters they've done. And the other one is natural building support. And that's, basically a group for people that are either owner builders or they're thinking or whatever phase they're in, even if it's just thinking about it, for people to reach out and kind of ask some questions.
Yeah.
And then also we're doing this thing every Sunday at 2:00. It gives or takes an hour depending on if I get busy with the baby. But we're calling it Dirt Church. And that's live on Instagram right now. And it's basically my cop-out of not doing a podcast.
Well, it's a live podcast. So
yeah, basically.
You're on the cuff. I mean, I spend, as we were talking, I spend hours before. You're just sitting up there like live on stage playing a game of improv with people. Like that's a whole different level. I wouldn't call that a cop out at all.
Well, that's pretty righteous of you to give me that much credit. So it's just a Q&A, and anybody that has any questions or just wants to shoot the shit about natural building or natural plastering, they can chime in and ask questions. And it's not just like a one question thing. Sometimes there's like chains of questions. There's like one question and it's like a sequential question, and it goes for about an hour every Sunday.
Yeah.
And we haven't been doing it very long. The reason I started is because my DMs just blow up.
Yeah.
Because people are just hitting me up day and night, from different time zones and different countries and stuff. And I literally just had to turn my phone off.
Yeah. That's what I've been doing at night as well. Like I'll go to bed and I'll turn it to airplane mode. And last night my wife was out just for like an hour longer than usual. And I was like, wow, I'll just leave the phone on just in case. And I fell asleep, and I woke up at 3:30 this morning to here's Brazil. Here's Germany. Here's India. Texting.
You're a morning person, aren't you?
I am, but I mean, 3:30 is pretty early, but I got up because duty called, started answering the questions. So that's a great way to deal with it. Just here I am, Sundays with Simon, and let's start answering.
Yeah. And then the last part of the educational thing that we're doing is we have this thing called the Realness Preserve, mm-hmm. and it's a 501c3. We actually got a federal nonprofit, and don't ask me how we did it, other than it was all my wife.
Yeah, that's a fair answer. Most things in my life, I don't know. That's above my pay grade. You need to ask her. She knows.
She's got a master's in business, and she went to college for sustainable fashion design.
Yeah, in New York, right?
Yeah, FIT.
Yeah, that's cool. I researched her a little bit online. I'm like, this is such a unique situation. This is
so she's like in natural plastering and building, but she does it like in the garments and the clothes we wear.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of like got together, and she's like, "Oh yeah, these textiles, they're all toxic. There's a plastic binder in that hemp insulation." I'm like, "What? You're kidding me? You're ruining my dreams now, you know?"
Yeah.
Like you don't tell me that there's a BPA liner in that can of beer I'm drinking, you know?
Yeah.
So she's kind of really, man, I couldn't do it without her. I'll tell you what. She is every single part of this business that I am. And, she definitely did not think she was going to be doing this with her life, but, I kind of ran away with her. You know, we met on a Cobb oven build, and we both have the same dreams, and she works as hard as I do. And, I fell in love with my wife the moment I met her, and she said she was looking for somebody to start a family with, and I jumped on it. That week I told her she was the one, and, I was in love with her, and, we haven't been together very long. We met 2 years ago, and, shortly after 9 months of that has been, pregnant. So
yeah, well, I'm kind of the same way. There's a lot of similarities between you and I. I mean, my wife and I got together, and, I think after 16, 18 months, we were engaged, and people said, "Oh, it seems like pretty quick, don't you think?" And I was like, let's just get one thing straight here. I have a thorough field study in what does not work with the lady. And I'm telling you, this works with her, and I'm not letting her get away. Before she realizes
that one, hold on.
Yeah, before she realizes what horse she's going to hook her cart up to, I'm going to make sure that we are engaged, because I cannot let her get away. So good for you. Well, this is like a nice little recreation of a better version of the last country song you told us about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do workshops. We did a really awesome Cobb workshop last spring.
Mm-hmm.
We had like 18 people come from all over the world, and they lived off grid on a property together for about 7, I think maybe even longer. There was like a pre workshop too for the people that wanted a discount.
Yep.
Come a little earlier to help with the setup.
Mm-hmm.
And we built basically a Cobb commercial kitchen with 2 working stoves, and it was incredible. The level of production out of amateurs, because everybody just like worked together.
Yeah.
And took instruction, and I don't know if that's typical with all Cobb workshops, because I've never really been to anybody else's, but it was magical, and everybody just like became family.
Yeah, well, that's cool. We've got a gal that works with us, Piper, and we have a continuing education stipend that we offer to all the employees, where everybody gets a few $100. If you're going to want to go somewhere, anywhere in the world, we'll throw some money at you for continuing education. And Piper, she jumped all over it, and she went to Baja with the Mojave Center. And she did, she worked on this dome build. And I was reading over her blog post this morning, which I think is going to go live on our site probably on Friday. So, folks listening can maybe log on and read it in our Plaster Diary section of our site. But that's the number one thing she said. She said the camaraderie and like the familial, sensations that we all had working together over manual labor and not knowing what we were doing and figuring out together. She's like, there's nothing like that.
It doesn't really feel like work when you have that camaraderie.
Yeah.
You're busting your ass, but it's fun.
Yeah. It's fun.
Everybody, and it's like discovery too, because you're like, you get the satisfaction of building something and looking back and seeing it, but you're doing something you've never done before, and you get that like reward.
Yeah.
That dopamine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I love that. And I think about that a lot too. I've been doing this for so long, and while I'm working, I'm just like, oh my God, I'm tired. I'm still doing this. I'm still doing this. I'm still doing this. And every once in a while, like I'll look around at the people who I'm working next to, and like they're listening to music and they're smiling and they're having a good time for the most part, by the way. And I'm like, this does not suck. If I got to wake up every day and go to work, this is a pretty awesome thing that I get to do to make money and to provide for my family and to provide for my employees. So, yeah, there's therapy in the trowel stroke. No question about it, for sure. What do you think is next for Texas Cop?
Oh, man.
What's your next country song, buddy?
Honestly, I feel like the next step is going to be actually taking a step back. And, I'm getting to the point now where quickly I am able to disappear and go to Washington for a week and hang out make new friends at the Plasterers Guild. And I know that back home, I got 8 guys that are all doing their job. And they're sending me photos every day, and the clients are sending me, checks every day. And, I'm like, I feel like Tyler Durden, and he's got like fight clubs in every major city in the U.S., like I could do that, but I don't want to. I really want to like just kind of keep it small and keep it all. And I want to start spending more time building me and my family's future home. And we want to expand not just plaster bagging, but we want to have an Adobe factory.
Yep.
Making Adobe bricks. There isn't any in the region. The closest one would be El Paso that I know about.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to go to New Mexico or, maybe Arizona. So I don't know of any in Central Texas that are making Adobes.
Yeah.
Traditional Adobe bricks. And that's what I want to build my family's home out of. And, everybody right now, like, they're all like, oh, I want to build a whole bunch of Airbnbs. And like, we don't really want to do that, but I really want to have, I want a facility where people can come in, and see all the different samples of plaster kind of in a gallery, curated very well with lighting and furniture, very photographable work.
Yeah.
And, that doesn't really, that's really what I think what all of us need as to be successful plastering contractors is, when the client asks you for a sample, you just tell them to visit your facility.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a facility.
Rather than,
albeit small, it's a facility, and, it serves a function, and it shows. I always tell everybody, my father-in-law told me one time, you got to have skin in the game. People really want to see you invest right back into your business. It shows us how much you care. We had photographers on once, and they were talking about that as well.
I heard that.
Yeah.
And it really resonated with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know you've had a day at the Guild, and you've got some more to come, and you've got a new baby, and you've got a wife that's holding it down right now while you're hanging out talking to me. So I want you to get back to that, because that, at the end of the day, is really all that's important. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I'm looking forward to getting you some plaster in your hands, so you can knock out my parents' fireplace and I don't have to do it. So
yeah, well, I can't wait to play with your material, and it's been an absolute pleasure, I tell you.
Oh, thanks, dude. Thank you so much, and be good, and we'll talk real soon, okay?
Yes, sir.
Please join us next as we spin the globe and land in Hyderabad, India, where we catch up with Manu Narendran. Starting in early childhood, Manu's propensity for scientific research led him on a path of discovery and travel. His journeys took him in and around Southeast Asia, studying soils, geologic layers, and culture. Now, formally trained as an engineer, his business Thumb Impression serves as a multidisciplinary studio specializing in architecture, construction, design, and community rehabilitation, all aimed at the sole purpose of bringing the natural world back to India. We're looking forward to chatting about the availability of Indian lime, his perspectives on Asian business, and the plight of the artisan. Until next time, cheers!